ever since The Rise of Skywalker came out and it was revealed that Snoke was nothing more but a creation of Palpatine, then the eventual question came up of why doesn't Palpatine just create an army of Snokes? As this was what many people wondered about, because if Palpatine can create one Snoke, then why not create a whole bunch and make his job easier in taking over the galaxy? And while at first glance, this seems like a no-brainer and maybe even a plot hole in The Rise of Skywalker, but when looking a little deeper, then this is actually far more complicated than most would assume for it to be, and if anything, the dumbest thing Palpatine could have done. Why, you may ask? Well, for starters, if you intend to build an army, then you better make sure you're able to lead it, or at least control it. And that's exactly what would be the issue here. As I pointed out in my Snoke Explained video 9 months ago, while it may disappoint some people to learn, Snoke was not a literal puppet of Palpatine as some may had anticipated. He had his own free will and desires, all of which he wasn't interested in sharing with anyone. Yeah, Palpatine was manipulating him from behind the scenes, steering him in the direction that he wanted. But Snoke himself had no idea of it. This was also confirmed in the Star Wars book that was released today, and while I thought we had more than enough evidence within the canon lore to prove this when I made my initial video, having this at least stated in the book solidifies it against any naysayers. Which again, the book even implies Snoke was unaware that he was created by Palpatine in the first place. So with that said, yes, Snoke had his own plans and wanted galactic dominance of his own, stopping anyone in his way for it, Palpatine or not. Because as we know, Palpatine fed lies to Snoke, and based on him keeping information away from Palpatine in The Last Jedi, it already shows that Snoke didn't care much for the Sith Lord at all. To add to that fact, Snoke was also incredibly strong within the dark side himself, possessing such incredible power that would trump half-dead Palpatine 10 times over. So it's safe to say that if Snoke found out about Palpatine's true intentions along with merely just using him as a test piece for Kylo, then he would not be thrilled with it at all and very likely turn against him, especially in the frail, weak condition that Palpatine was in. We also have to remember that Palpatine's true plans were not the only thing kept away from Snoke, but also the existence of the Final Order itself, as Palpatine instead opted to plant Enric Pride within the First Order as an undercover spy for the Sith Eternal. All while Snoke, Kylo, and Hux and many others were none the wiser. So, with that all in mind, if Palpatine would struggle to control even one Snoke, then having an entire army of them would be completely out of the question. Not only would they see no reason to take orders from someone past his time, weaker than them, but also half-dead too. And suffice to say, after killing Palpatine, they would very likely turn on each other as well. But of course, if that wasn't enough to convince Palpatine out of the idea of creating an entire Snoke army, there is also a second reason he didn't do it, and that is simply because he couldn't. As we saw in The Rise of Skywalker, there are quite a number of failed Snoke experiments floating in the vats on Exegol, which if you think about it does make sense, as creating an unnatural being, especially one like Snoke who possesses such unreal powers in the dark side, is not an easy task at all. Odds are the Sith Eternal were lucky to manage in making one. So even had Palpatine wanted more, it's then likely that wasn't possible in the first place. This is N7 from Silo signing off.